Get that nice contrast of that really caramelized dark skin or bark, if you will, and then get into that beautiful red meat. You get some flavor contrast on that. As far as rubs, we've done everything under the sun. Over here at Smoke, we have a rub that we do. We call our Sergeant Pepper rub. We make it in house. We also have a vaquero rub that we make. It's got brown sugar and chilies that we grind in house. I tend to go a little sweeter with sugars and things like that on the chicken and pork. Pork, obviously, we all love sweet and pork together. It just goes great together. And it also gives you the right color. When it comes to beef, though, I tend to go towards pepper. Okay, pepper, powdered jalapenos, things like that. Tabasco's, Worcestershires work a little bit. Things like that. If you want to do a little light spritzing, you can do that as well. So that's the basic preparation of meat and what you're going to want to get step up to. The one little sidebar that I want to add to it is there's a thing called injecting. Has anyone heard of injecting before? Okay, injecting is common practice. It's now amongst most barbecue enthusiasts. It's not hard to do. You do have to have the right equipment. You have to get a little injector needle. You'll have to be comfortable injecting things. So if you're in the medical profession, you might want to get a doctor, somebody to show you. I heard there was a plastic surgeon that actually showed me how to do it. He rocked my world with injecting because he's been injecting and sucking out collagen in people's faces and things like that. So he showed me some really cool techniques. But injecting is actually something that I like to do. If you're looking for the gold standard of barbecue and you want to make sure that your barbecue is going to be absolutely gorgeous, it's something that I think, why not take that extra step? What do you inject with? There's a lot of rules, okay? Some people use water and Texas barbecue sauce. They've done that in the past. Some people like to take beef bouillons and dissolve them down. Some people do chicken stock. You could also go as far as making your own veal stock, which is a French technique, and making something like that. Or you can just buy beef broth, the countertop, as long as it doesn't have salt in it, and then inject with that. Speaking of salt too, what I like to do with my injections is I like to bring them up to a light simmer, and then I season them till they're almost the flavor of the ocean. Okay, so too salty, you wouldn't be able to eat them at all. That's the only opportunity you're going to get to season the center of the meat. You got to remember, when we're slicing into brisket, all the flavor profiles, everything that we've done is on the surface of the meat. You will not be able to penetrate in any other way that meat without cutting it unless you inject, okay? So as far as injecting, my strategy is I put an imaginary checkerboard over the top, and every little square that I can imagine in that checkerboard, I'm going to pump in 1 ounce of my injection fluid. Okay? I'm not going to go over the main cap where all the fat is. I'm not going to go on that one. I'm just going to go underneath, and then of course down by the point, I'll take it down there. Okay? So that's the injection. You're going to want to do the injection before you rub. After you're done with the injection, you're going to dry it off, then you're going to rub it, and then you're going to be able to enter your smoker at that point. The last step is another big controversial conversation, is cap side up or cap side down? What do you guys think? Cap side up? Down? Okay. Anybody else got an opinion on that? How many want to go up? Okay, quite a bit. How many want to go down? Two lone soldiers over there. Okay, good. So this is a huge, huge controversy, okay? I'm going to just tell you the facts. Has anybody ever cooked bacon before at home? Maybe in a cast iron skillet or something like that? Okay, best way to cook bacon is to take a pan that's fairly warm and drop the raw bacon in there and allow the bacon to render, okay? So you'll walk away and you come back and all the fat inside the bacon is actually melted. It's just like butter. Fat when it's cold, it gets really, really tense. When it gets hot, it tends to dissolve and go into a liquid form, unless you're olive oil, which it'll always stay in a liquid form. What's happening there? It's rendering, okay? How do we render it? Again, we need to ask that question. We put it in a warm cast iron skillet. If you go into a smoker, there's 2 types of heat that are happening in a smoker. We got a beautiful smoker right here, which I'm going to use as an example. There's a grate down here, as you can see. That grate, and then there's wind, okay? Convection heat. Convection heat is the lightest or most mild form of heat transfer. So it's actually going to be the weakest way to put heat into the meat. Direct heat, which is going to be on the metal, is the strongest. It's the most powerful, okay? So if your theory is I want to create a beautiful bark on my brisket, some would argue, and I would make this argument too, that fat side down will actually render that fat better, just like the bacon, because it's on the direct grill and it's slowly dripping it down and rendering it down. There are people that say, well, what about the natural basting that happens? That is true. There is some basting that happens. It's not as much as you would think. And one strategy is to capture that fat in a container underneath and baste the meat yourself when you go in to check the temperature. So that's some modern barbecue enthusiasts are actually doing that. I encourage you guys to, if you go home and you want to try that out, do some side by side. You know, rules are meant to be broken, right? I mean, if you really want to go for the gold standard, we're going to talk about the gold standard of brisket here later on today. I'll actually be coming up to it. If that's what our goal is, to get the best brisket we can, at least in our backyards, let's try them both and see what happens. So that's one of the big elements on that. Any questions on some of this stuff? I know it's a little, I got a little scientific there for some of it, but I want to make sure you guys are catching all this information, okay? Okay, so the last step that we're going to do during the preparation, after it's entered the meat, is then going to be our temperature gauging. Okay, so we brought it out at room temperature. We've got it up to about 70 degrees, hopefully. It's safe to keep that brisket out at room temperature anywhere to about 1 to 2 hours. It's probably going to take about 40 minutes for it to hit 40. To get out of the 40 degree zone and get into the 70 degree. But now we're going to want to enter the smoker. And we're going to talk a little bit about tools and fuel and what you're going to want to do with that here in a little bit. But I'll just get you started. We're going to want to get our smoker pretty hot in the beginning just to get the temperature up, depending on the equipment you're using. And then we're going to want to allow it to stabilize. And then we're going to want to enter our smoker, and we're going to get it as far away from that direct heat source. These smokers here, and we'll learn more about these later on, are brilliantly designed because we've got our firebox here, and then we're allowed to keep our heat over here, and then it encourages by design to allow the smoke to rise up and wash over the meat on that. After that, as far as the cooking's going, you're just going to want to biotemp your meat as you're moving along through the process. The magic spot that some barbecue enthusiasts like are 160 degrees. That's the time when you wrap if you choose to wrap your meat. Okay. I've experimented with wrapping, and I've also not experimented without wrapping. I've used foil and different things like that. I tend to use butcher paper when I want to do it. Butcher paper is breathable. It allows the smoke to penetrate a little bit. It allows moisture to come off the meat, and it's able to, I think it's just better for the meat in general. But I've actually, in my modern cooking now, I've gotten away completely from wrapping because, again, I'm going for that really, really dark caramelization on top. You want to stay away from sugars in your rub if possible, and if you do, it needs to be less than 3 or 4% of your rub, mainly because sugar like creme brulee, if you've seen it, it'll burn up on the top, and it'll get it really almost like a burnt flavor. So if you're really wanting to control how dark you really want it, or if you don't want to get those bitter flavors, you want to stay away from sugar. That's what happens on the end. So anyways, that is basically meat preparation. If you have any questions, we'll be around here around 2 o'clock for more Q&A. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something here, and I hope it encouraged you guys to go out and try some of these techniques at home, okay? Thanks so much. Appreciate it. We'll be coming back up here in just a few minutes with Jeff's Backyard. They're going to be talking about tools and fuel and what you need to do to shop for your grills and how they're going to react to heat and different things like that. So that'll be happening here in just a few minutes. Thank you so much.